Whispers of the Forgotten. Admiral Trell stood before the massive star map, arms folded behind his back, tail swaying with unease. The room was silent, save for the gentle hum of the Imperial flagship's core reactor. A red dot blinked deep within the Veil Nebula, a system thought to be uninhabited for millennia. And yet, the probe had returned with unmistakable signals, fusion signatures, artificial gravity anomalies, and electromagnetic echoes too structured to be natural. A world untouched by the Empire, Trell muttered, eyes narrowing. Impossible. Not impossible, came the dry voice of historian Kavir, an ancient Kidhani scholar with eyes like wet obsidian. Merely forgotten. Or hidden. Trell turned, skeptical. You're suggesting this. Earth was deliberately concealed. Kavir nodded slowly. There are myths, older than the Empire itself, of a species that rejected assimilation, that fought the elder races to a standstill, then vanished. They called themselves humans. Trell scoffed. Old spacer tales. Ghost stories. Ghosts don't leave reactor trails, Admiral. The tension in the command chamber thickened. Kavir approached the console, activating a series of archived files. Ancient war recordings, fragmented logs in forgotten tongues. Faded images flickered, planetary bombardments, shattered moons, and ships moving with a speed and precision that defied modern understanding. In one corrupted clip, a human soldier, bloodied and grinning, faced down a towering alien war beast with nothing but a rifle and a crude explosive vest. They were chaos, Kavir whispered. Unpredictable. They didn't fight to win, they fought so no one could win. Trell watched silently. No one in the room spoke. The last file played, a recording from the Elder Council, dated 9,801 years ago. Seal the Terran system. Let the dead remain buried, lest the stars burn again. A chill passed over the crew. We sent a scout ship 12 cycles ago, said Commander Val. It has not returned. Show me the last feed, Trell ordered. The screen lit with static, then sharpened to reveal the surface of a blue-green world. Vast oceans, scarred continents, and a massive, decayed city. Towers stood broken under thick foliage. Wind howled through shattered glass. No signs of life, yet the sensors flickered strangely. The scout's pilot, a Lekari named Thuin, narrated nervously. Structure integrity high. Atmospheric levels safe. I see something. Movement. Thermal spikes underground. Wait, what is that sound? It's music. The last image froze on a dark metallic chamber, lined with humanoid machines. Ancient, rusted, but humming with energy. Eyes glowed blue. Then the signal cut. Kavir stepped forward. They're not extinct. They're waiting. Silence fell. Trell clenched his fists. Ready the fleet. If the myth breathes, we end it now. But deep beneath Earth's crust, in blackened bunkers untouched by time, fusion cores lit like stars. And somewhere, a voice echoed through a machine's awakening circuits. Wake up, soldier. The stars need burning again. The awakening. Beneath the Rocky Mountains, 10 kilometers below the crust, the vaults stirred. Massive cryo chambers hissed to life, bathing the stone-wrapped command complex in flickering white light. Superconductors pulsed. AI cores, once idle, roared with cascading data as ancient security routines recompiled themselves. For the first time in 3,000 years, Protocol Redline engaged. Commander Sarah Vaughn opened her eyes inside Pod Alpha 1. Frost clung to her lashes as the pod hissed open, and cold air rushed out like a final exhale from history. She gasped once, then stood. A robotic voice crackled in the chamber. Commander Vaughn, temporal offset, 3,172 years. Status, Empire proximity detected. Awakening protocol complete. Sarah stared around the command vault as lights flickered on. Pods opened one by one. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, hundreds of the last Terrans, genetically perfected and stored when the world chose to vanish from the galaxy. A choice made not out of fear, but out of disgust. She spoke, voice hoarse. Report. AI system Vanda. 7 responded immediately. Imperial reconnaissance vessel breached Sol perimeter. Passive scans suggest reclassification of Earth from myth to threat. Full awakening initiated. Weapons systems nominal. Fusion arrays at 73% capacity. From the far side of the chamber, Elijah Ram stepped out of his pod, rubbing frost from his temples. "They found us," he said with a crooked smile. "Took them long enough." Sarah nodded. "Then let's remind them why they shouldn't have." Within hours, the old networks came online. Relay satellites launched from hidden silos. Lunar defense grids booted up. Mars transmitted a handshake signal, confirming its deep cold stations had survived. Vanta 7 pulsed across the command screens. Initiating counterprobe. A directed beam of classical music, Beethoven's Ode to Joy, blasted out into space. Encoded within its structure were pulses of binary, mocking the Empire's linguistic AI. Then came the real message, a hijack of the Empire's long-range communications network. Every ship, planet, and relay station received the same simple feed, 20 seconds of a human face. Commander Vaughn stared directly into the lens. "To the Galactic Empire, we are not lost. We were sleeping, and you should have let us." Silence followed. On the other side of the stars, aboard the Empire's high command vessel, panic erupted. Communication officers scrambled. Dozens of alien dignitaries watched in horrified awe. Inquisitor General Malek turned toward his aide. "That face. It's human. It shouldn't be alive." His aide whispered, barely audible, "The myths, the scorching war, it was all true." In the shadow of Jupiter, an Imperial scout cruiser attempted evasive maneuvers. It never stood a chance. A bolt of blue energy lanced from Europa Station, slicing the ship in half before it could broadcast again. Humanity had made its first move, and it wasn't a declaration of war. It was a reminder. The Empire strikes and bleeds. The Empire struck swiftly, arrogantly. Within days of Earth's broadcast, an armada of over 3,000 ships, escorts, carriers, dreadnoughts, descended on the Sol system like locusts. High Marshal Carveth of the Imperial Fangs led the assault, convinced this would be another easy purge. They'd crushed rebellions, vaporized planets, and broken civilizations. What was one myth-wrapped, backwater species compared to the might of the Empire? He never saw what hit him. As the fleet entered orbit, their sensors read nothing. No weapons hot, no ships visible, no resistance. Just a deceptively quiet blue world. It was almost insulting. "Primitive fools," Carveth snarled. "Prepare orbital bombard." The Aegis system activated. From the dark side of the moon, hidden gravitic arrays came online, silently bending space itself. Dreadnoughts twisted in place like toys caught in a drain. Several ships collided, their hulls crumpling under impossible forces. Moments later, a burst of quantum flak erupted from Earth's exosphere. Millions of micromines designed to disrupt shields, scramble navigation, and blind targeting systems. Then came the real blow. Human vessels emerged, not from Earth but from Mars, Titan, Europa, even the asteroid belt. Sleek, silent, angular designs with hardened stealth plating and weaponry that made the Empire's plasma lances look primitive. The USS Hiroshima led the charge, followed by the Damascus, Leningrad, and New York. Each was AI-guided but crewed by awakened humans, soldiers who had trained for this very day generations ago. On board the Hiroshima, Commander Vaughn watched the chaos unfold. Targets acquired. No warnings. No mercy, she said coldly. "Execute burn order," Elijah Ram responded. In a synchronized strike, the Terran fleet cut into the Empire's flank with surgical brutality. Kinetic rods the size of skyscrapers fell from orbit, impacting with such force that several enemy carriers simply disintegrated. Hacked Empire communications collapsed under aggressive viral AI, each command node infected with simulations that looped human laughter and war footage from the scorching war. Empire crews panicked. They weren't prepared for enemies who used star slingshots, who folded in behind enemy lines with localized wormholes, or who disabled capital ships with weaponized code before firing a shot. The Empire had always expected resistance. They never expected joyful carnage. They never expected humans. At Varnik's outpost, deep in Empire territory, a human strike team of only 12 operatives landed in a stealth pod. Within minutes, they captured the command tower, broadcast the execution of the local prefect, and vanished, leaving behind a single message carved into the wall. We are not here to conquer. We are here to remind. Back on the High Throne world, Emperor Zelvander watched the footage with trembling claws. No species fights like this, he whispered. No species should. A silence settled over the court as he stood for the first time in centuries. Prepare the writ of extinction, he declared. The Terrans must be ended. But even he knew the Empire had bled, and the galaxy had seen it. We are the fear. The stars above Velzeruin, the Imperial throne world, glittered undisturbed. No enemy had ever reached this far. The system's defenses were unmatched. Tens of thousands of ships, orbital AI cannons, anti-fold dampeners. To the Empire, this world was a symbol of absolute, unshakable power. Then the Terrans arrived. No warning, no massive fleet, no long-range siege. Just a ripple in space, like reality folding in on itself. And suddenly, 3 human stealth cruisers appeared in low orbit. They slipped past sensors like phantoms, bypassed gravitic mines, and surgically disabled defense relays with EMP bursts precisely tuned to the Empire's neural relays. Commander Sarah Vaughn stood on the bridge of the USS Leningrad, her expression unreadable. The target wasn't military, it was cultural. Send it, she said. A signal burst from the Leningrad, hijacking every screen across the planet. Civilian terminals, military feeds, educational interfaces. Every living being on the throne world saw it. Her face. No armor, no weapons, just a human, staring into the core of the Empire. We don't want your throne. We don't want your surrender. We want your fear. You tried to erase us. You failed. The image changed. Scenes from the war. Terran troops breaching outposts. Imperial dreadnoughts splitting under kinetic fire. Laughing human soldiers dragging Imperial banners through the mud. A final shot. An Imperial general, bound and kneeling, with the words "Remember Earth" burned into the wall behind him. Then the screens went black, and the throne world began to burn. In 10 minutes, the Terrans had disabled the planetary AI Nexus, vaporized several key command spires with pinpoint strikes, and escaped through microfolds before any counterattack could form. No human ship was caught. No trace was left behind but smoke and fear. Back in the Sol system, aboard the rebuilt command station orbiting Earth, Vaughn watched the galactic response unfold. Rebellions flared across dozens of systems. Vassal species long crushed under the Empire's rule rose in unison. The illusion of imperial invincibility had shattered. They believed they were gods, Elijah Ram said beside her. Turns out they bleed, just like anyone else. She nodded. They feared us once. Now, they remember why. Earth had not declared war. Earth had shown the galaxy that war could be beautiful, that resistance was not only possible, but inevitable. Across the Empire, stories spread like wildfire, not just of destruction, but of style, of humans fighting with passion, defiance, laughter, not like soldiers, like artists of war. The Empire wasn't just losing ships. It was losing control. On Earth, the factories roared. Warships were built with names pulled from history: Fallujah, Seoul, Tripoli, Kiev. Cities that had known pain, now reborn in steel. And on every hull, etched in defiance, "We are the fear."